DGAU. Fund to tell you.
I wasn't sure.
HAM deal,
Us.
FHAM deal. Just to be sure I get. Alec knows you're right. Oh, and then to the balls. Very probably from the first time in being home. He died, the morning of the bank. Thursday. The 18th.
3 o'clock, freedom or?
Yeah, three's good. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
You're left off. Gotta assume that worked. So she said she was interested today.
Was this,
She took it
Just like coach. Okay.
the last 4 days?
in the last, yeah, like.
Uh, so I never.
I think I did.
Yeah.
It's cancer.
It's right.
Have you just got,
Yeah, the kids.
That's
Oh.
all.
Mike's in.
My friends was not,
John, she's making her husband.
Okay.
the night was.
Yeah.
Now, where are those comments?
Where are they?
Last year?
Yeah.
I don't even.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 to 4 tomorrow. Lady Betty.
That's right.
Her daughter. St. Girl. Senator Morris.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah, we just sent me a picture. Anyway, and not just you.
He's there. Call the meeting to order. Steve, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are motion to approve tonight's agenda.
some,
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Move on to public comment. If you'd please provide your name, address, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Once everyone has a chance to speak, we can go back and revisit. Anybody else who'd like to speak a second time?
Mine might be slightly over 3 minutes. Is it a problem since I'm in here right now?
Well,
So
at
to
the
speak?
end of your 3 minutes, if anybody else wants to speak, they would speak.
Okay.
And then we would go back to your turn.
Sure.
So you might be able to just
Keep right on going.
keep on going.
Right. So my first question is,
It's this
oh, I'm
one.
sorry, my name, I'm sorry. Soon you'll know me, sorry. Margaret
Just for the
Fiore.
record.
Never mentioned.
Margaret Fiore, 383 Pond Road.
And I just reminded you, because you said you let off with a question, this is comment.
Yes, but it's part of my, you don't have to answer the question. I know this is just a comment.
Right.
These are just
Great.
thoughts.
Sure.
Okay. So how important is preserving farming, agricultural, and rural character to the town of Mendon? What steps is the town board taking in aiding farmers in maintaining prosperous farms? The legislative findings section of the town's proposed special use permit for tourist homes moratorium amendment talks about residential character of the town, but seemingly ignores the agricultural character and roots of the town of Mendon. The town board knows that I have been seeking a special use permit since September of 2021 for a tourist home. When I'm not living in my home in Mendon, placing my home on Vrbo and Airbnb allows me to bring in money to offset the cost and expedite the restoration of my farm. I employ town residents that work on my farm as caretakers and contractors. I'm here today to ask you not to put a moratorium on the tourist homes. This will not only affect me, but my employees and local vendors as well. My land that I purchased was once a viable farm known as Mendon Farms, as far back as the mid-1800s. In the last 40 years, the farm was sold to a surgeon and later to a local resident. My property was left unused for several years. Lack of farming and overgrowth has put the once farmed land into a state of disarray. We acquired a small orchard of cherries, apples dating back to the late 1800s, peaches, walnuts, and some berries. We have been working to bring back the farm to a healthy state by hiring agricultural specialists to aid us in restoring the farm, such as a horticulturist, land architects, commercial landscape, and drainage contractors, just to name a few. On February 8th, 2021, the town of Mendon adopted a comprehensive plan. This is a 186-page document, which I'm sure you've all read. The plan was compiled by an advisory committee with the assistance of LaBelle Associates and input from the community. While the committee focused on a variety of areas, I will be discussing primarily the farm agricultural section as it pertains to my Pond Road farm residents. One of the initial goals and strategies was to promote agricultural protection through use, right to farm, and economic development. In the section of the future land use, protecting farmland was slated as an important factor in maintaining the rural and open character of the community. In the section economic development, the advisory committee and participants of the open house encouraged economic development. There were 10 key points. Number 5, they encourage non-farming agricultural business that supports area agricultural needs. Per the comprehensive plan on page 82, this includes continuing to encourage establishments of businesses that utilize local produce from products and encourage farm tours to school and public schools. Based on your comprehensive plan, the desire of this community is keeping private farms viable. The reason for me wanting to Airbnb is to offset the cost of my farm restoration. As any farmer in this town knows, restoration of a farm comes at a cost. Equipment, clearing land, and cover crops to restore soil are just to name a few. I am aware of the flyers being placed in mailboxes, petition on a change.org, and an email chain regarding me. I've listened to false statements made about me and any guests I've had in the past. I've been accused of having multiple weddings, guests running wild on the property, ATVs coming out of my property and driving up and down the road. I don't own an ATV. Guests walking 1,000 feet to throw trash on a vacant lot. For this accusation to be true, guests would be walking past multiple trash cans on the property in order to deposit trash on a vacant lot. People seeing dump trucks and cement trucks on Pond Road and they assume they're going to my property. I have been accused of putting in a concrete parking lot holding 40 to 50 cars. These are just to name a few false accusations. We had recently a need to re-gravel interior access roads since our property is over 50 acres as part of the farm restoration activities, not constructing a large parking lot. But the most egregious accusation came from the code enforcer. On July 13th, in a letter to the zoning board, I quote, 2 abutting property owners have put their property up for sale because of the Fiore's Airbnb. I spoke to the new Combs, my western vacant lot, after the planning board meeting. They had told me they don't know if they're going to build because of the cost of materials. The east lot was contingent on whether or not they could build a home. I was at that planning board meeting. I understand there's a fear of the unknown. Verbal and Airbnb regulates prospective guests. They, as well as I do, not allow parties. Guests are thoroughly screened by both Airbnb, my staff, and myself. Anyone from a 585 area code is automatically denied by us. We assume it's going to be a party. In conclusion, Brent and Cynthia, you both were on the advisory committee for the comprehensive plan. You both know the importance of private farm to maintaining the rural nature of our town. I think the one thing I find most upsetting at this moment is that on August 11th, 2022, after a favorable outcome by the zoning board hearing, I turned to my attorney and said, certain town officials are going to advocate to change the code for tourist homes, unfavorable from our RA5 zoning before our application can finally be reviewed by the planning board September 21st, 2022. And here we find ourselves fighting for private farms in a town that publicly states in its comprehensive plan, preserving agriculture as priority. How strongly does this town board support our town's comprehensive plan? Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay. We'll move on from public comment to number 5, which is the local law and moratorium on short-term rentals. There is a copy of that on the podium as well as on our town website. This local law number 2 of 2022 was given to the town board at minimum 7 days ago for their consideration. And we also have a situation at 977 Miles Square Road where residence was purchased exclusively for this type of activity, as well as some others in town. So what we are considering tonight is not to whether enact a moratorium. We are considering tonight whether to move this to a public hearing, which could take place. I'm suggesting if the board passes it to next Monday, August 29th at 7 o'clock at the Mena Community Center. At that time, anyone who would like to speak pro or con on a moratorium could speak at that public hearing. That's what we're considering tonight. We're not considering any applications. This is in general terms of scheduling a public hearing. Any other comments from anybody on the board? Is there a motion to schedule a public hearing?
So moved.
Do you want to go through the date and time, just so we have an official?
Sure. Make a motion to plan. Am I saying that right? Make a motion to plan public hearing on August 29th,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at the Mendon Community Center.
And I'll second that.
Time you set. Any comments regarding the public hearing? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We're back to public comment. If anyone would like to speak. Danny?
Procedures and technicalities are always nice, although intent is good too. Usually when I've seen public hearing notices from the town, it's 7 or as soon as practical thereafter, some verbiage to that, which I'm sure you've got on boilerplate stamped down somewhere, so it might be worth adding that, whatever you just moved.
Okay.
By all means.
Sheldon?
Well, there's nothing else scheduled for the night, so.
There you go.
Anybody else? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.